What's up, YouTube? It's the Mudface. Today we're going to do a little bit different thing. We're going to do a deep dive on everything, everywhere, all at once, as Bear likes to call it, or as the followers have deemed it, EIO. And basically what this is how the Dragon Country over there in the Far East, how they plan to attack us or are actively attacking us. So, this is going to be a long one. Buckle in, put your feet up, get you something to drink. Water is life. So, how is China going to attack us? Well, I would say that this is going to be a 7th-generation warfare. What is 7th-generation warfare? Well, you've got land attacks, sea attacks, air attacks, and space attacks. Those are pretty simple. You also are going to add in cyber, cognitive and influential attacks, economic attacks, and influence attacks. Bio. Cognitive and influence are together. Biological attacks. So let's get into this. How is China attacking us via land? Well, to start with, between the years 2021 and 2024, over 64,000 military-aged Chinese men crossed our southern border. Now, they're claiming political asylum, trying to escape communism. The wrath of Xi Jinping. While the left is saying, yes, they're just coming here for a better life. The right is saying, well, they're military-aged males, they're here, they're an invasion force. Now, those 64,000 plus that are listed by Border Patrol, those are just the documented cases. There are estimates out there that those numbers could be 3 to 10 times higher than that. So you're looking at somewhere between roughly 200,000 and 640,000. Folks, that's an invasion force. So, at best, they're coming here to take your jobs. At worst, they're coming here to stage for Red Dawn. Which, side note, that is what that movie was actually supposed to be, was China. However, China threw a fit, so we turned it around and put it on North Korea. They're saying that these Chinese nationals are coming up from South America, Central America. Yeah, but it is an invasion force. The next way they are setting up to attack us via land is the farmland. We are somewhere in the neighborhood of 350 to 400,000 acres of farmland purchased in the United States by Chinese national corporations, which, if you know anything about communism, you know that the government owns everything. It's not that much land when you look at like how much land Canada owns, something like 12 million acres, roughly the size of West Virginia. But what's more interesting is how close it is to many of our military bases, critical infrastructure, water treatment facilities for large municipalities, major substations, power generation plants, that kind of thing. A few of the bases that, just off the top of this list that I'm looking at, you've got Grand Forks Air Force Base in North Dakota. Well, there's a couple reasons that one's important, along with land in Washington and Maine. But Grand Forks, more specifically, is the home of surveillance and reconnaissance. So AWACS planes, satellite surveillance, that kind of thing. That's where that stuff is kind of headquartered. All those bases are along the northern border, it is along the northern border. There's lots more land purchased along the northern border because the Trump administration, while they've done a pretty good job of saying they've locked down the southern border, they've kind of ignored the northern border, which everybody does. Canada's nice. Until it's time to not be nice. You've got Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, which is the home of the stealth bombing program. You've got Laughlin Air Force Base down near Del Rio, Texas. Major training base for the Air Force. Also, the southern border. They also have large purchases in other areas of Texas, Arizona, California, all along that southern border. They have a lot of land purchased near Fort Lewis in Washington. They have the proving ground in Yuma and Dugway, which is where we test a lot of stuff. MacDill Air Force Base, Tampa Bay, which is, Central Command. That's headquarters. Naval Station Norfolk, the largest naval base on planet Earth. Fort Bragg, or Fort Liberty, whichever one you want to call it. I think they should have called it Fort Benavides. But airborne, PSYOPs, that's all coming out of there. And what I might argue, given my pedigree, the most important one, Camp Pendleton, San Diego, California. Again, southern border. Marine Corps Recruit Depot, so all the West Coast Marines are trained in Pendleton. It's also kind of their West Coast headquarters. And one would argue that if you were going to try to invade the United States via land from China, you're probably going to be entering that area. You've also got Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming, which is the home of Global Strike Command. Think our Minuteman missiles. The home of thermal-global nuclear war. So these Chinese nationals are coming across the border. These companies are buying up this farmland. They're opening what they call, what was that word? Let me go to the next tab. Doobie-doobie-doo. Oh, something, there it is. Overseas 110. So, what does that mean? Overseas, obviously meaning not in China, and 110, well, that's China's version of 911. So essentially, these overseas 110, which are all over the world, are Chinese police stations. And what are they doing with these police stations? A, they're controlling the dissidents, the ones who have left China, to escape communism for real. There are also information hubs, communications hubs for the Chinese government getting orders and word and supplies to these people coming across the border. And their massive spy network, which we will get into. So, dooby-doo. Let's get into the Chinese Navy for the second part of 7th Gen warfare. China has the largest navy by vessel count in the world. It is still limited. They don't have the tonnage that we have. We have bigger boats. They currently do not have a nuclear power aircraft carrier or submarine. So their stuff is all powered by diesel. So what they need to do is they need to have logistics stops along the way to wherever they're going to attack. So they have this island hopping campaign throughout the Indian Ocean and also coming across the Pacific. So that is kind of, they're setting up currently, it's more diplomatic and commercial, but they're setting up these ports and such to be able to move their navy. Hence the Panama Canal having a Chinese port on either end of it. Currently, China has 3 aircraft carriers. The Lianying, Shandong, and the electromagnetic catapult-equipped Fujian. They are currently building their very first nuclear-powered carrier. And they have plans to build 5 more of those. They want to control the South China Sea, Taiwan Strait, the Western Pacific, also coming down into the Indian Ocean. The biggest thing, though, with the Chinese Navy is they're actually much larger than is on paper. Because they have this program that is called the Civil Military Fusion and the auxiliary fleets. So, under this strategy, almost all new state-owned or state-owned, business-owned vessels, merchant and cargo ships, ferries, fishing vessels, they are built to military specifications. Hull thickness, power, the radars in them. They're all being built so that they could be turned into military naval vessels. Well, how are they going to do that? Well, they've got this little thing that they call millions of shipping containers, Connex boxes, and they have turned some of these into ballistic missile launchers, drone hangars, radar units, so they can literally pull a boat into the port, a couple of these big overhead cranes, drop a couple of these Connex boxes that are equipped for battle onto a fishing vessel, and then that fishing vessel can then go out and do what it's got to do. Good times. Alright, let's see. So that island hopping, 22 was kind of a big year for that. They covertly negotiated some security agreements and caused some problems in the Solomon Isles for Australia, New Zealand, and us. Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited 8 Pacific Island nations to pitch a sweeping regional trade and security communique It did get temporarily shelved, but it's still in the ether. Uh, but the goal is to counter the first and second island chain strategies that we have by adopting their own. Alright, so land, sea, and now air. Well, I could say, they've already attacked us via the air. Remember the totally not a spy balloon? 23, February of 23. You know, this thing we detected in the Aleutian Islands of Alaska, completely crossed over Alaska into western Canada, down into Montana, right over all of our nuclear silos, down into Missouri, you know, where the stealth bomber base is, and then out through the Carolinas where, you know, Fort Bragg is, and then finally President Biden ordered us to shoot it down. They recovered it, they brought it back to Langley, the FBI examined it, determined it was a surveillance balloon tracking IMEI and MAC addresses of every piece of software and hardware that it crossed over. And China said, it's totally not a spy balloon. It's weather balloon. My Chi-Com is not on point. Also, air. Very important, and this actually covers air and sea. It's their advanced radar. They've got got out of order. So, this radar network is a massive multi-layered early warning and air defense architecture. It integrates large phased array radars, LPARs, over-the-horizon OTH systems, counter-stealth arrays, and space-based sensors, and they're not so much managed by the government or the military. They're actually managed by a company, which, again, it's communism. The government owns everything. So the early warning and tracking, the large phased array of radar sites, they provide ballistic missile tracking and wide area air surveillance. Counter-stealth capabilities. The YLC-8B is an ultra-high frequency, and then there's a passive detection called the YLC-20, and those are designed to spot low observable aircraft like the 5th generation fighters. Well, how did they do that? Well, you see, for the last, 60 years, we've been shipping all the manufacturing in the world to China. So we send them the technology that we develop. They are supposed to manufacture things for it. However, they've reverse engineered it, and they've combined all the different pieces and parts that we've said, hey, go build this for us. They figured out that this stuff all goes together, and then they built their own stealth fighter based on our technology. Well, then they're like the Bill Gates of the manufacturing world. You know, they see an idea they like, they steal it, and then they make a few changes and make it their own. So they took the technology, they built their own stealth fighter, and then they said, well, now how do we see it? How do we make a radar that's going to see that in the air? And so they came up with this UHF radar, which ours is low frequency, theirs is high frequency. And then they've got this stuff all deployed over the horizon surface and wave, so, you know, like, we're talking on the water. Aperture radars that are on outposts in reefs and such that are Chinese territory. So they've got a forward deployed radar system. advanced networking and electronic warfare integration with AI-driven electro-optical, infrared, cross-cueing, microwave photonic jamming countermeasures. Yeah, that's a mouthful. Basically says, hey, we're going to use AI, and if AI sees something that it thinks is bad, it's going to jam the signals. And this is all coming from outer space. So you've got water, you've got in water, you've got on water, you've got your ships and your radar arrays that are slightly elevated, and then you get up into low orbit and then even high orbit. We're going to come back to these stealth fighters that China has developed. The J-20 is basically an F-35. And let's see, China is already actively being protagonistic in the South China Sea. Just the other day, Japan had to launch jets after a Chinese Y-9 reconnaissance plane flew through the eastern China Sea near Okinawa's main island and the Danjo Islands. Well, you know who's got a couple of large bases in Okinawa? We do. That's our occupation of Japan following World War II. But you've got the Marine Corps. You've got a massive Air Force base out there. So China's doing reconnaissance on these. December, Chinese J-15 fighters from the Liaoning intermittently directed their fire control radars at Japanese F-15s over international waters southeast of Okinawa. Chinese military media reports have highlighted close-range encounters involving regional stealth aircraft, while the U.S. and Japan have enhanced fighter deployments in the areas. And then there's this little rumor, and I've done some digging, so I cannot confirm nor deny its validation. But the rumor was, well, let's find that tab. I don't want to misspeak. Oh yes, Fort Bliss. So, back in September, so almost a year ago now, El Paso International Airport shut down airspace around the El Paso area. The military came out and said they were using Chinese drone technology, which tripped sensors and alarms saying, hey, Chinese stuff was being used near the base, and El Paso triggered a airspace shutdown. So according to the story, we were so incompetent that we didn't let anybody know we were going to use this Chinese drone technology, so that they didn't shut down airspace and realize, hey, this is us. Dumbasses. The rumor is that it was a Chinese stealth jet that was in United States airspace for roughly 800 miles. Can't find anything to confirm it, but it makes more sense than us being that incompetent. And speaking of these drones, find one while you can right now, because the 100% tariff on the DJI drones is going into effect, which is going to affect the price of all drones. But do not, I repeat, do not let it touch the internet. Okay? Okay. Now let's get into space, the final frontier. Alright, you got the, China is creating constellation satellite systems very similar to Starlink. They want to be able to deploy their firewalled internet across the planet, which is going to be important and everything everywhere all at once. They're also creating proximity vessels that have grappling hooks in them. Think of the crane game. You know, put your quarter in, or now it's like $1. Put your dollar in. You got a little joystick. Maneuver the crane. It comes down. If you're lucky or good, you get a toy that probably costs 30 cents. Today's economy. Well, they're doing that with satellites in orbit from rockets that don't even necessarily have people on them. And then they're also reusing these rockets a la SpaceX. So I think Elon's teaching the Chinese a thing or two. But, so what's to stop them from going up, grabbing one of our GPS satellites and just taking off with it? Yeah, so we talked about their constellation network, space sail, Project SatNet, reusable space planes, satellite fleets. They've got hundreds of military satellites heavily focused on reconnaissance, signals intelligence, and navigation. Also the early warning radar. They are creating their own Space Force, effective in 2024, for space warfare, cyber, and joint command support. You could say, though, they've already attacked us. Remember, let's see. Let's go back up here. Chinese space lasers. So, a couple of weeks before that fire in Maui. Wow, it's running slow. Apparently, Google doesn't like this question. I don't want AI mode. Chinese space lasers. Well, that's new. Hawaii. Doo-doo-doo-be-doo-be-doo. Come on. The internet is so good. It's so good when you don't have internet. You're doing everything through hotspot on a phone. January 28th, 2023. Mysterious green laser beams recorded over Hawaii by the Subaru telescope on Mauna Kea. They were traced back to the Chinese Daki 1A EMS atmospheric research satellite. Atmospheric research satellite. They're supposedly tracking carbon dioxide and aerosols using a green LiDAR laser. So China said, "Tori not laser beam a blow house up. Tori laser beam a study weather." Well, weather in Hawaii doesn't necessarily affect China. And then, a couple weeks later, the fire in Maui and the conspiracy theory about blue roofs is born. Coincidence? I don't know. Okay, so China known for cyber. You got Volt Typhoon, Salt Typhoon, and many other state-sponsored hacker. So, Chinese cyber terrorism and cyber campaigns. We'll start with, you've got Volt Typhoon that is attacking critical infrastructure, ports, water facilities, energy substations. So a couple weeks ago, you had these water facilities in Minnesota, the 30 communities, and then 6 other states. All their infrastructure was compromised. Well, it's already compromised. It's just that it was made public and, for whatever reason, major news. The media put all of the blame on Iran. Well, maybe Iran pushed the buttons, but China put the hacks there. The backdoors into the programmable logic controllers, the PLCs. Therefore, maintenance and diagnosis. Yeah. So yeah, they can literally shut your water off. They can literally shut your power off. They can literally adjust the chemicals being used to purify your water to toxic levels. They can literally control traffic. They can literally control air traffic. They can literally control everything that touches the internet. Salt Typhoon is their telecommunications hacker, and they have been busy attacking cellular networks, siphoning call records, accessing, the we're not spying on your phone conversation information. Well, yeah, China has all that now. And they're doing it to target mostly high-profile figures, but they also have attacked the FBI database and surveillance information. Spyware. Oh, yes. If you have downloaded apps like Temu, Wish, TikTok, you have Chinese spyware on your phone that you cannot get rid of. You cannot delete it. It's permanently there. Burn your phone. It has installed backdoors that they can control everything about your phone. They can actually use your phone to run programs in the background linked to their systems. Yeah, we talked about the PLCs. You need to, if it can touch the internet, you need to firewall it. You need to, have an air gap, because they can control it. Everything is compromised. As Bear says, there is an ongoing and persistent zero-day exploit that affects everything. I cannot stress the everything enough. Everything that touches the internet to the highest echelons of American society. So much so that, let's see, J.D. Vance, diplomatic phone call on hotspot. In March, well, let's see, that's not it. It probably has been scrubbed. Yeah, everything's kind of been scrubbed, but there was that big internet outage back in February, March. Affected a big chunk of the East Coast, including Washington, D.C., and it was rumored that, or actually it wasn't rumored, it was actually said on a couple of news reports that they were making diplomatic phone calls from the White House that were supposed to go through like FaceTime and such using cellular hotspots. Nothing says secure like a cellular hotspot. The whole goal is to paralyze civilization. Paralyze command. You've also got things like Huawei. In 2019, they were banned because they were busted putting in backdoors and spyware. Recently, a lot of places are banning things like the Chinese-made robot vacuums. FCC is banning Chinese-made solar inverters. Yeah. It's basically, if it's made in China and it's electronic and can touch the internet, they're kind of getting rid of it. Does that show you how scared they are? There's that. Okay. So the plan to paralyze command is twofold. A, they're going to use their land, sea, air attacks and space attacks. But they're also going to cyber attack the computers and the telecommunications and basically make it so the right hand can't tell the left hand what to do. And that's... In most militaries, if the chain of command breaks down, the underlings are going to freeze because they're not going to know the strategic view, they only know the tactical view. So unless we come up with a doctrine that says, in the event of communications with headquarters is broke down, you need to proceed with X, Y, Z. We'll call it Order 66. Until we have that, and hopefully we do. I have not seen anything saying that we have anything like that, but I wouldn't expect that to be public knowledge. The goal is then to paralyze us by taking away our communications, taking away our ability to act promptly and militarily from our bases as they attack them. They're not going to attack cities. They're not attacking civilians. They want to keep that infrastructure in place. They want to attack the military infrastructure so that we can't fight back. So now we're going to go into the cognitive/influential attacks. China's using covert digital campaigns. They are bribing media, proxy groups, lobby groups. They're using AI to spread influence and shape public opinion throughout the United States in an attempt to amplify the social division. So they're really, we have this left-right paradigm, left cheek, right cheek, same ass. Well, they're basically in there trying to spread the butt cheeks. Sorry for the crass description of that, but you'll remember it. They're trying to sway political discourse. They're getting their people in high places. Spies. Fang Fang. Eric Swalwell's ex-mistress. Eileen Wang, the former mayor of, was it Santa Barbara? Spies. And then they're promoting communist, especially the Chinese Communist Party narratives. Why do you think you're seeing so much talk about communism amongst Gen Z and the Gen Alpha, Double Alpha, whatever the next generation is? Even millennials. And how are they doing this? They call it spamouflage, Dragon Bridge, influence network using fake accounts posing as Americans. posting about polarizing topics like elections, abortion, and foreign policy. Basically, bot farms. It is estimated that how many bots are on the internet? There's no exact count, but it says that 51 to 57% of all web traffic is a bot. It's computer. So when you get in that fight on Facebook with somebody you think you know, or on X that you know you don't know, and you're getting into that argument, it's probably a bot. There's a 50-50 chance. They're creating, dissent by, promoting this communism, the people versus the government. That's what communism was supposed to be. The people own everything. In theory, communism sounds like a great thing. The problem is you run into humanity, and humanity doesn't allow it to be successful because humans have greed. They are lazy, and they're selfish and ambitious. So the ambitious take advantage of the lazy. The greed takes over, and the people who actually could practice pure communism, it only works in small circles. On a country scale, it just takes that one person to get to the top and slaughter 60 million Christians. Oh wait, we're not supposed to talk about how the Bolsheviks, aka the Khazarians, aka the fake Jews, genocided 60 million Christians during the Bolshevik Revolution. Not supposed to talk about that. But we are 42 minutes into this. I don't think YouTube is paying attention anymore. Alright. They're also using the cartels to create incursions, subterfuge. Obviously, the products that the drug cartels are using that are created by the Chinese, finalized by the cartels, and then shipped to the United States, that's causing problems amongst our population. So we'll come back to this Chinese spy thing. So, yeah, I've mentioned Fang Fang and Eileen Wang. Since 2015, the Center for Strategic and International Studies espionage database has documented over 224 publicly reported instances of Chinese espionage targeting the United States going back to the year 2000. And since 2015, there has been a very distinct acceleration in the prosecutions and reported incidents. Open source security intelligence logs tally nearly 900 distinct cases of Chinese espionage globally. Recent cases, last year, the Navy recruitment case where Chinese nationals Huan Chen and Len Ryan were working for China's Ministry of State Security to target and bribe active duty Navy service members. That the Manhattan Secret Police Station, Liu Jianwang and Chen Jingping, convicted of, being unregistered agents of the Chinese government helping operate covert overseas police facility. The U.S. Army Reserve MSS Handler case, and this was kind of a longer term thing in the 2020s. Ji Chaoquan a Chinese national studying in Chicago, later enlisted in the United States Army Reserve, was sentenced to 8 years in prison after being convicted of gathering biographical data on U.S.-based scientists and engineers. Federal Reserve trade secrets indictments. Former Federal Reserve senior advisor John Harold Rogers was arrested and indicted for conspiracy to pass confidential Federal Reserve economic data and trade secrets to Chinese co-conspirators. I mean, what is it, 140 arrested since 2021. You're being attacked. So, what is going to take this from 6th generation, which involves space and cyber, and the cognitive attacks? What is going to take that into what I'm going to call 7th generation warfare? And that's the biological attacks. COVID, obviously, although we funded that Dr. F himself funded the gain-of-function research on the COVID-19, outsourced it to Wuhan. Whether or not he paid for them to release it, or they released it maliciously, or it was an accident escaping from the lab, that's neither here nor there. It came from China. China. So, obviously that is an issue. And if we have the power to write viruses that can take out complete populations with certain DNA markers, I'm pretty sure they've got that capability as well. And we could literally write a virus that would take out everybody with blue eyes. They could do it too. We're going to come over here. So, biologically attacking us. The biofacilities that they have in our country. There's been 2 now that have been busted. The Reedley, California facility, 23. So, yeah. That was, I believe, in Fresno area. And then you had the Las Vegas case earlier this year. They had over 1,000 different biological research and medical type material samples. Oh, and then don't forget the agricultural terrorism lady, the University of Michigan. She had a fungus that causes head blight in wheat, barley, corn, and rice that will produce mycotoxins. So they were going to create a fungus on our cereal grains that could kill us. That sounds like an attack to me. Birthright tourism. So this is a big one. It's kind of getting a little heat, and it's one thing that I think the Trump administration is doing, trying to do the right thing with. Maybe for a different reason, but so there is a cottage industry of Chinese women traveling to other countries, specifically the United States, in their last month or so of pregnancy, so that they can give birth to that child, and that child can be a United States citizen. And also maintain their Chinese culture and such by returning back to China to raise the child, to indoctrinate them into the Chinese party. And it is such an issue that China actually has a protocol for this, because China bans dual citizenship. If you claim to be a citizen of another country, your Chinese citizenship is terminated, and then they pretty much make you disappear. So, for these special circumstances with this birthright tourism, they're saying, okay, you're not a Chinese citizen. You don't get a Chinese passport. You get a travel permit. And then, when you turn 18, you have to choose, are you an American citizen or are you a Chinese citizen? Well, they make you disappear if you don't choose correctly. So, the fact that China has a program and a protocol for this tells you all you need to know, that this is a big problem for them. Well, if they think it's a problem, it's probably a bigger problem than our government and our media is trying to allow. And now, there are no actual numbers on this. Estimates go between 10,000 a year and 26,000 a year. But it is such an industry that there are actual companies that for between $15,000 and $80,000, depending on where you want to go, you can engage in this birthright tourism. 2015 to 2019, federal authorities indicted 19 people and charged 20 in the You Win USA and USA Happy Baby. They were charging up to $100,000 to coach pregnant Chinese women on hiding pregnancies from customs officials. More recently, in 2025, U.S. prosecutors secured convictions for operators like Michael Liu, Phoebe Dong, and others involved in a conspiracy and money laundering tied to Chinese maternity tourism networks. And the State Department now has started to crack down on birth tourism and have revoked hundreds of visas for pregnant travelers. Not just because of the Chinese, but also others that are coming here trying to take advantage of the fact that we are like the only country in the world that says if you're born on our soil, you are a citizen, which is totally not in the spirit of the 14th Amendment. So, I just outlined all the ways China is planning to attack us, some of which they've already begun. Everything, everywhere, all at once. E-I-E-I-O. Thank you, Bear. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Check out refugemedical.com. They currently have a promotion going on. Today only, I believe. 30% off, which is ridiculous. But if you're not in the know, you don't have the code, and I'm not giving that code out. You can use code BEARNATION for 10% off everything there, including training. Get you some. Get what you need. Mudface. Where is that stupid mouse? There it is. Mudface out.